Hey guys, what's going on? This is another Outdoorsman 1 video. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a review and kind of my initial impressions of the Multimok Bivymok. So that's kind of a mouthful. What it is it's a hammock tent is what it is. It's like a bivy, you know, one of those really tiny tents that only you and your sleeping bag fit inside of, kind of as a shelter. Imagine a larger version of that on top of a cargo net that's strung up from 4 trees, however high in the air that you want. It's a really interesting setup, and hopefully I can sell you guys on it the same way that the guys sold me on it. So I got this in the month of January this year, 2019, at the Sportsman's Expo in Salt Lake City, Utah. I live in Utah, and I really support local business. I think local business is an awesome thing to be supporting, and honestly, when I go to Sportsman's Expos, I have to walk in and know this is how much money I can spend, and this is how much money I have to spend, and because I just buy a lot of things when it comes to Sportsman's Expos. And so I also have a set rule. My girlfriend at the time, I told her, I was like, okay, we have to start at this end and we have to walk to the other end without purchasing a single thing outside of food. And then I'm going to make a list of the things that I am interested in, and then I will go back, and if they are still there, then purchase them, because then, you know, a lot of people sell the same thing multiple different ways. So that's what's going on. So these guys are out of, I believe, Draper, Utah. So they're local business, local to me. I really, like I said, I support local business. They're veteran owned and operated. So this was literally the first thing that I saw. What they had is they had each step, the steps I'm going to talk about. So you've got 3 steps. You've got a cargo net, you've got the cargo net on top of the bivy bug net, and then you've got the Rainfly that goes on top of it. It's a really smart idea because it lets you and allows you to customize the setup to your needs. If you aren't going to need a Rainfly, then you don't need that. If you're just going to sleep on a sleeping platform off the ground and you're not worried about bugs or mosquitoes, like I'm currently being attacked, then you don't need to take those 2 parts, and then that cuts out your weight. So this is it. It's about the same size as a normal sleeping bag outside of a stuff sack. It does get a little bit smaller when you roll it up real tight. I was just filming before the sun kind of got down now, and I've got my lighting and all that set up. But I think it's a great product. I'd probably give it 7.5, if not 8 out of 10. I think because they are a new company and there's some new things to work out. I think it could be improved on, but I do think it's a great product, and even if I hadn't purchased it for the sale price that they were having, I would still probably purchase one of these over other hammock tents on the market. So the big thing that you're going to say is this thing probably weighs about 8 pounds, maybe 5 pounds, somewhere in that. I'll try to get a set number on how much the whole package weighs. This is the complete package, which includes all 3 steps, as well as 4 straps, and then their branded climbing carabiners, as well as a bunch of tie-down straps and some what do you call them? Tent stakes, obviously, some aluminum tent stakes. So obviously you can break it down. Now this thing is extremely comfortable. I've slept in it. I have not camped in it, but I have slept in it. I've hung out in it. I've chilled, I guess you could say, in it, and it's, like I said, extremely comfortable. You have to set it up right, but it's extremely comfortable. And so let's get talking about it. So I'm going to pull the things out that come with it. We're going to talk about those things. Then I'm going to show you guys putting it all together, and then I'm going to talk about my pros and my cons at the end of the video. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, so everything comes in their own individual bags when you purchase it brand new. But we're going to talk about the things, obviously, because I have used it and they're outside of their bags with the exception of one part here. So, I forgot the tent stakes. So what we're going to talk about first is the straps. Now, these straps are really great. They're handmade by the guys at the company. Itself says that it will support 1,000 pounds. Everything here is rated to 1,000 pounds. So theoretically, you could have 4 to 5 people, depending on how grande sized your friends are. You could have a bunch of people on this thing and it'll support it perfectly. And we're going to get to how, if you and your buddies buy these, how you can kind of synchronize them, kind of like hammocks. So what we've got is we've just got a simple eyelet on this side, a pretty decent sized eyelet, and then you've got a lot of back weaving here. You can see that it's done by hand because it's not 100% like perfect, like a toe strap would be. But I don't think that it's going to go out on me. I haven't even seen any fraying. So super awesome. I like the alert orange, as we call this color at the company that I work for. I believe they're 7 feet. I believe they're 7 feet. And you've got eyelets on both sides, the same size. And those eyelets work great. If I can find one of the corners, you'll see it when I'm putting the thing together, but there are these steel eyelets on the end that join the corners of the hammock. Well, I can't find it. But simply what you can do is you can really easily make an eyelet around the corner, and then you've got a really tough tie down. As well, obviously you've got the carabiners that you can use, and they work great. So again, these are about 7 feet long. Okay guys, so now we've got their branded carabiners. These are the kind of carabiners that are self-retaining. They are climbing carabiners, however, I wouldn't use them for climbing because they're not locking. However, when you do add weight to them, this will engage the hook here, and then it's not going to open up. But they're 7 kilonewtons in either direction widthwise, and they are 24 kilonewtons in when attached like this. So they're really strong. I've used them for other things. They're really high quality. I like them. I like, again, the orange that stands out so you can see them. And then again, they've got their marks on it in 2 different places. So awesome little carabiners. Your package will include 4 of these as well. So now we've got this little bag with again, the orange drawstring. You open this guy up. And you got about 10 aluminum tent stakes. They're nothing special, but they are sharp on the end, which is nice for getting them into tough ground. I actually have used these on ground tents, these ones specifically, because they come in this little handy cinch bag, kind of a little stuff sack. They're nice. They don't bend. I mean, if you wail on it with a rock, yeah, I use a rubber mallet usually, but these guys are really good, really nice little standard. I mean, nothing too special of tent stakes. Another thing that they've included in that bag, which kind of just fell out, is they include sections of all the different materials. So you've got a gray material, you've got a orange material, you've got a black material, as well a mesh material, and then it does include a little glue so that you can patch the your tent. I think that's really cool that they've included such large pieces of each color material. So again, this is the bug screen, which is the top portion of the bivy. You've got this, which is the waterproof bottom of the bivy. Then you've got the orange part of the Rainfly, and also the bag, which this material is ripstop. And then you have, you can see there, it is ripstop, if you can see it. Okay. And then again, you've got the gray, which is the door portion of the Rainfly. Okay, so we're going to put this stuff away. Set this aside. Talk about 2 more things, and then we should be good to go. So now, I've got 4 of them here, but I have 4 on my tent already. These are about 10-foot spools of double-stranded wax line, kind of the typical line that you would use. There we go. The typical line that you would use to tie part of your tent down, and with using the stakes. They come pre-rolled. You've got 8 of them. I've got 4 here, and I keep 4 on the tent, hammock, I don't know what you want to call it. But it comes with 8 of them. And these are, honestly, I have used these to support my body weight and the body weight of another person. I've had 2 people in there, and this double-stranded stuff, it stretches a lot. But, and I'll explain the reason why I use these in a minute at the end of the video in the cons. So, I think it's awesome that they include so many of these, again, in its own little bag. And all of this stuff will fit in the little black cinch bag. And then I don't know if this was just their show special, but they included this little LED strand, wire strand thing. I don't know. They're cool. I don't know how much light they produce, but you know, they just use a little watch battery. And hey, I wasn't gonna say no to something free, right? I strung it up in there, but I'll get to the point of why this isn't practical at the end of the video in the con section. So guys, just talking about the cargo net a little bit, I think it's really genius the way that they built it. They built it with round stitches, so you can see that round stitch there, which allows each individual joint, because it is set up in a square fashion. Because of that square fashion, you don't need 4 trees that are exactly square. And let me talk about that. So this is a different kind of tent, hammock, than what you've probably seen before. You've probably seen the ones where you need 2 trees and it's got a bunch of poles and it'll support itself from just 2. Like the one that these people are using right next to me, actually. You can use, there's that kind. There's also the triangular type, which is just kind of a suspended tent. And then there's this. I really like this over all of those different variants because you've got 3 different setups. You've got 3 components, and that was the thing that sold me on this product. At the show, they had it strung up. They had the cargo net. They had the cargo net with the Rainfly, or my bad, the cargo net, then the bivy on top of the cargo net, and then they had the one at the top that was a cargo bivy, and then the Rainfly, and you could see how you could set it up. Another cool thing to mention about this is you can use the bivy portion, so the tent portion, the bug net portion, as a ground tent. I haven't, but it's just a very large bivy, and you could use it as a 2-man tent. They say it'll fit 2 people on the inside, but weight-wise, it'll hold about 4 to 5 people. Honestly, you could probably fit 6 people on there as long as they're not super sized. No offense, I'm overweight anyways, so I really enjoy the way that this has been built. I think it's really awesome. You've got 3 different components, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not that heavy, because when I first got into hammock camping, I realized that it gets heavy. I got into it because it was super lightweight. You've just got a double hammock, you know, because those are extremely comfortable compared to a single hammock, especially when you're just sleeping one person in it, and then trunk straps. Those were the only things that I thought you needed. But when you start camping in the mountains, I mean, it's 104 in the valley right now, or in Utah, down in Provo, and up here in the mountains, it's about 70. So when you get up here at night, the temperature drops so much that you really need a bottom quilt. You're going to need a really good down blanket, and then you're going to need a Rainfly over the top, and then you're going to need a bug net over the top. And so it does get heavy when you start looking at all the things that you do need to equal a tent, and it honestly can get heavier. Now, if you're just going in the desert and all you need is trunk straps and the hammock and maybe a small sleeping bag, then more power to you. I think it is a lighter way to go, and for me it's more comfortable, especially when you're in the mountains and there's a plethora of trees. It's really easy to set up your campsite, and then you don't need tent poles and all these things that add weight. There is one tent pole for this, just because of the way that you'll see that this is built. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're going to be sleeping 2 people in this, you split up the weight of this, and it is no heavier than a full hammock setup. The only thing that you're going to need in addition to everything in this bag is your sleeping bags. So at the end of the day, for 2 people to sleep extremely comfortably and not hit each other in the same setup, and be off the ground and supported, I think weight-wise for a backpacking application, yeah, there could be some weight that could be trimmed down from this, but I'm not even going to list that as a con because I think that the weight equals out. So here you go, guys. I'm going to now put it together and take it down and give you my comments intermediate. Stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, so opening the Bivy up, you're going to have a bunch of different parts, and the way that I have it rolled up, I kind of have them rolled all together. Just for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to put it up the way that I normally would put it together because I want you to be able to see the different styles that you can use, the Multimok, the Bivymok. Right now I'm just going to put the cargo net up. The frame setup, now this is just the cargo net. Something that you'll notice is that it sags in the middle. So to overcome that, what you've got is these attachment points all over. So you can run the included little rope that I talked about earlier. You can run that rope through any of these attachment points, and then you can stretch it all the way out so that it doesn't sag. So let me show you kind of what I mean here. Big things I want to talk about when it comes to the Bivymok, Multimok, Bivy, whatever they call it, is the really awesome platform. So they put a lot of time and effort into creating this platform, and that's why I think that it's an awesome product, is because, and this is one of the big things that sold me, because as you can see here, the trees that I have this attached to are not in a perfect square. Obviously you need 4 trees to tie this down, unlike a lot of tent hammocks where you only need 2 or you only need 3 because of their triangular setup or whatnot. For this one, the only downside I see is that you need 4. That being said, the way that they built this is ingenious because you don't need them to be exactly square for everything to come out straight. Another thing that makes this incredibly an awesome product is the square layout of the base platform here. Because of the squares, I can stand on this thing. I can kneel on it. Inside the tent, I could kneel down and I could change. I'm not going to fall through. I'm not going to push all the way. Now, it does get a little bit hairy when you've got the tent on there because you're trying not to rip the tent. The tent's, you know, tent material. It's lightweight. So that's a little hairy. But when you're on top of this, it's extremely sturdy. As you can see, I'm just going to climb on it right now while recording. It's extremely sturdy. And as you put weight on it, these become straighter and they become more comfortable as you add weight. They have these eye loops that come off of everywhere. So if you've ever been in a double hammock before with two people, the big problem is you guys get smacked together, smack dab in the center. Now, I don't have a second person right now to demonstrate this, nor do I really have the trees to be able to demonstrate this, but what you can do is you can set a high line down the center. So this is about the middle of the Bivymok right here. It's about the middle. So if I was to go back to my truck and get a ratchet strap, and I was to pull this one straight into a tree that's right behind where my camera's sitting right now, if I was to pull this straight back, and then I had another one at the other end pulling it straight that way, I'd get a high line down the center. Now that high line down the center is going to make it so that if I've got two people in here, me and another person, we're not going to smack into each other. I'm going to roll off to this side, the other person's going to roll off to that side. We're never going to smack into each other because like I put my hand down, you've got high lines there and there. Your high line's going to be down the center. And that being said, makes it extremely comfortable with two people. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the tent, the first step of the tent. As you can see, we've got step 1 done. We're going to add step 2. Step 2 is the base of the tent, which is just the bug net with the waterproof bottom. So I have tested the waterproof ability of the bottom. It is waterproof. I've dumped a whole 16-ounce water bottle. Let's say it wasn't actually a test. I accidentally dumped that water. And it spilled everywhere on the two of us inside, but it is very waterproof. So now what we're going to do is we're going to throw the tent up on top there, and I hope you guys enjoy this part. Okay guys, so now that we've got the Bivymok up, let's see the logo right there. Cool, I'm saying it right. Multimok's Bivymok. Okay, I said it right. So I kind of put it on here wrong. If I was going to be camping here the night, I'd probably want my door opening facing the little stream, the little creek right there, and not facing that tree, like you can see. So what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to get a couple of them little laminated tags, and I'm going to put them, you know, maybe just colored zip ties, and put them on here so I know what way is the way that I should put the tent. And let me show you why that's important, because theoretically you could put the tent wherever you want on the base platform, but you've got these little eyelets. On this side, you've only got one, whereas opposed to on this side, you've got two. Now, I haven't figured out exactly why there's two on one side. Doesn't really make that much sense. because the tent is always going to sit kind of justified toward the middle, about 3/4 the way one side, and it doesn't fit on that one, and it doesn't fit on that one, unless you roll up the end of the tent. So maybe if the owner's watching, maybe he can message me, maybe he can put the thought process behind that on there, because I haven't figured that out yet. But what you got going on here is you've got the eyelet. So the tent is a completely independent system from the base. So if you wanted to use this as a ground tent, by all means do it. I would just highly suggest you use a tarp, because this isn't the thickest material. Now, it's a lot thicker than most tent material, but I don't think it's meant to be ripstop material on the ground. So this is a completely independent system. You can see you've got a bunch of these tie downs to mount it to here so that it won't flap around in the wind. Now, I use this as a cargo net, not on the back of my truck, but you could, because it'll hold 1,000 pounds or more, especially if it's static. But I use this just as like a, hey, you want to go to the park and lay out and not sit inside a tent. So I use that a lot like this. So what you got is you've got the actual tie downs for the pole here that run through. You've got one that is mounted to here. So like I said, you could use it as a ground tent. And then you've got this secondary that clips on there, just so when you're climbing in and out, this doesn't shake off. And again, you've got another tie down point, so you could tie this. And again, you could use this eyelet and buckle to pull it this direction so that it's very sturdy. If I was going to spend the night in this thing, I'd definitely put a lot of straps on this thing. Okay, so now we're going to put the third step on the Bivymok here. We're going to put the Rainfly on. Hey guys, as you can see, I'm inside the Bivymok hammock. I am laying down with my feet out the door, which I'll show you here in a second. So one thing, you can see how the tent's kind of laying down. It's actually a lot bigger than what you can see there, just because I don't have the straps down, because I plan on using this actually tomorrow, and I don't want to have to go about undoing all the straps. So you can see that it is actually quite big. There's still probably about 4 little squares lengthwise that you can't see. So there is a good amount of light that comes through. You can see me real well, even with this on there. Another really nice thing is with wind. The wind is just gonna blow right through this. It's not gonna harbor all the wind. Yeah, it might inflate this kind of like a parachute, but the wind is gonna carry right through because they're not connected. So in high wind situations, one, because you've got 4 points of contact, you're going to be relatively steady, and then it's not going to be that loud, especially if you have all of the attachment points, because it's mesh on plastic. It's not plastic on plastic, and that's where you get that flap, 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 flap in high winds. Nor is this thing going to collapse on you, because it really can't, just because of the architecture of it. Wind's going to go right over it. It's got that really conical shape. So if you know you're going to be in high wind, you can put the nose into the high wind, and then the wind's just going to come over you, and this is going to lay down a little bit. I gotta say, this thing's incredibly comfortable. So on the inside at the top of the arch, you've got this this little hook there, so you can hang a light. And then on this side, you've got these cinch downs so that you can pull the door that way. The Rainfly door goes down. One major thing that I definitely want to show you guys is their way of connecting the side that you climb into. So the big thing is with hammock tents, when you climb into this thing, you're going to put a massive amount of force right here, and you're going to pull this side in, as you can see. Let me see if I can't simulate that. When you get in, you're going to pull that. Now, if you just use this little ratchet, this this little buckle, just like, you know, just a tie down. If you use that here, you're gonna rip the frame of the tent. So, sorry, one-handed. You'd think I'd be a professional at doing things one-handed by now. So with this little elastic guy here, what happens is as you get in, this will stretch and then return. Now, obviously you can cinch this down. This side I have it cinched down all the way. And then back over here, you can see it's not cinched down all the way because that's real tight along that side. So since I have this cinched down all the way, this side's gonna stretch a lot and this side's not gonna stretch as much. But that prevents you from tearing the seams. Now, let's kind of talk about the seams. They're well done. So we're gonna take a look at the seam here right on the front, because this is the one that I have actually tied down, because this is where I'm gonna get in and there's enough flex there that I'm not worried about nothing breaking. So you can see the stitch that they've got going on, and then it is plastic backed on the inside to keep it all waterproof and whatnot. You can see it's about the size of a queen size bed in there. I'd imagine you'd be able to throw an air mattress in there if you want, but that kind of defeats the purpose of your hammock. So just to kind of demonstrate what I was talking about earlier, if I were to be going by myself on a backpacking trip and it started raining and I wanted somewhere to put my gear inside my setup here, and I'm going to sleep off this side, let's say I want to put a high line right here. You see how it lifts the tent? So I could do that right here. I could put a high line right here, and then I could sleep over here, and then I could dump all of my gear on this side, and it would make a shelf. And that would be a really nice little shelf to keep all my gear. You know, if I needed to put together a quick little meal or something on this side or whatnot. Definitely don't use your any kind of stove in here, but you could have that high line. Looking at the mesh, I'd say it's a finer mesh than what's on the rooftop, on the Smittybilt rooftop tent that I've reviewed. It's a pretty good mesh. It's really lightweight, really see-through, but there's nothing that's getting through that, not even the tiniest of ants. So there it is, guys. I've got my Power Practical 5-foot light strand inside there, which you kind of can't really see unless I open it up. There you go. As well, I've got the Rainfly all the way open. It's not the most photogenic right now because I don't have the straps all extended and everything looking pretty. However, talking about the Rainfly is really awesome. You've got a secondary set of Velcro so that the flap will stay over the zipper and the zipper will not unravel. And that continues along the whole length of the Rainfly, which makes me think that I could get some sort of Velcro backing to put on my Power Practical light strand so that I could get a perfect arc around the outside, and that would be pretty cool, I think. So that's pretty much my last comments. Anything else I have really to say on the tabletop, I'll talk about it. Another thing that just came to my mind is the fact that you do have these elastic bands, as you can see there. There's one of them, but it's strung into 2 circles that you can use if you have the carabiners set up in a short fashion and you have the carabiner right here. You can just clip those on and then it'll pull it tight and it's not going to go anywhere. And again, that'll help the wind go over the top of the system here. I really like the complementary colors of the gray and the orange. I like bright colors. I think it looks really cool. So now I'm going to take this thing down real quick, roll it up the way that I normally would, and then we'll talk about it on the tabletop. So as far as it comes to pros and cons of the Multimok Bivymok, I think there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages when it comes to a 4 strap assembly compared to a 3 strap or a 2 strap assembly. And so here are my opinions. So a pro would be that it's extremely comfortable and spacious for a 2-person setup, or if you were just going to have it strung out just as a cargo net, you could use it and have multiple people lay on it and chill. So the 4 tree setup inherently creates its own con, because there are not 4 trees that are perfectly equidistant from each other that create a square or a rectangle that you can string a 4-cornered hammock from. I think you have to look at them through different glasses, where if you're comparing this to a 2 strap hammock, then obviously you're going to think that this is not a good use of space, because you're going to spend a lot of time trying to find a place to set this up, where it comes down to your needs and your applications. Like I said, I believe that this is a good setup if you're trying to put 2 people in one spot. But if you're trying to be individual, this is not a good setup for that. Now, a big pro that I like is that it comes with everything that you need. For a pretty decent price, you get everything that you need to be able to go and use it, provided you have your other camping gear. So inside this bag, you get the bag, you could literally go on your camping trip and use it. Now, obviously I would suggest becoming familiar with it, because you're going to learn how to set up the straps, you're going to learn how to use the Rainfly, you're going to learn things that you like and you don't like, and how to make it accommodate for you. Another big plus that I see is the fact that they have those extra straps coming off of all the different corners and all the different ends of the squares. You can put high lines, center lines, you could do a gear tray, as I was calling it, or a shelf. You can set it up so that if you are sleeping 2 people, those 2 people can sit there and never run into each other and be extremely comfortable. Now, one thing that I do really like as well is that there is a place to hang a light there in the center. But one thing that I do wish was included is the fact that there are no loops on the inside. I really wish that there was some sort of loops, like with their cordage on the inside, where I could string some sort of a light. Now that's a little petty thing, because I really like the Power Practical Luminoodle. I really like this product as well. Like I was saying, with this little light that they gave me, there's nowhere to put this. There's like 3 different attachment points on the inside, and that's where you roll up your door, that's where you hang the center line, and I think there's one above the pockets on the sides. There are 2 little triangular pockets that I don't think that I mentioned. Now, another con is that it is decently heavy, and the material isn't the highest quality material, nor is it the lightest material. Now, obviously this big cargo net isn't going to be light, because it's literally webbing, which gives it its inherent strength, but it might be too strong for the application that you're trying to use it for. Now, that being said, if you and your buddies all bought these and you had 8 people that you were trying to string together from 4 perfect trees, you could do that because of their square design. You could lash them side to side or lengthwise, and you can make a big platform, and I've seen it done. On their homepage they've got some pictures, and I'll include the website below. So that's a big pro, that you could put these things together as well, because they're so strong. I've seen people string actual hammocks off the bottom. I think they called it a Bivymok. I think that's inherently kind of genius. And another big pro is the fact that you don't have to have the straps coming off at a perfect angle to still create the platform that you're looking for, because of the side strings. I think the guys are great. I think the product is great, but the last con that I really have is the fact that the straps are, I feel like there wasn't a lot of thought put into these, besides the fact that they're not well done. I feel like you could have made a 10-foot strap, and I feel like that would have helped. It might have been a 12-foot piece of webbing, but then when you take a foot back and a foot off to make the loop, you'll lose 2 feet, and then, I feel like longer straps would definitely be something that would help. Now, if you're making a giant platform and you've all got these straps, you can double them up. And something that I've actually done is I've used ratchet straps for my truck to be able, because they're 25 feet long. I feel like that would be a very cool build, is to have some sort of a ratchet strap on here where you could then tighten your tent and lift everything up, because these are pretty simple. You've got full length and you've got half length. That's about it. Or you could, you know, use your carabiner or double wrap around a tree, but you don't have a lot of adjustment when it comes to these straps. Now if you had some sort of a ratchet on there, now obviously that's going to add a lot of weight, but then you can go to trees that are much further away and you could definitely have some good suspension on there. I think all of the other pros that I have, I listed while I was putting the video together. Like I said, I give this a solid 7.5, if not 8 out of 10. In the grand scheme of things, it's a good product. I think there are things that could be improved upon, but I'll continue to use this, and it literally stays under the back seat of my truck, and I use it quite frequently. So thanks guys for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Go check these guys out, Multimok. They sell some other really great products on their website, and I think that you should check these guys out. Thanks guys for watching. I'm out.